On the very first video, we went through the use case of I sit down at my desk or in my coffee shop and I put in my username and password and I'm logged in. So it was just two things. It was just username and password and I get in. And so I gave you a use case that's pretty old school, 20 years old, and that use case doesn't really work anymore, or that use case just isn't secure anymore, because if somebody can gain access to my username and password, we really have a problem in the environment. And so let's sit down and go through some of the cloud-based user cases. Lots of these are going to be you sitting on-prem, you with your data, you with your laptop, but you're trying to access cloud and on-prem based resources, except that's going to be brokered through Azure AD, and Azure AD is going to be able to read from the security graph, and it's really going to offer us a ton of protection. So I sit down and I try to log in, I just give my username and password, but I'm in a different location, or the browser I'm using is hiding my IP address. And so one of the first things that this cloud environment is able to do is Microsoft can go and say, your user account, Paul at Born in the Clouds, my Office 365 account, is that for sale anywhere? My accounts that were taken in Yahoo, are they currently for sale right now? And can I cross-reference my user account to that? And if I can see that my account is for sale, Microsoft have ways of gathering that data, building databases and cross-referencing accounts that are right now on the dark web versus your internal user accounts. They can look at the username and password combinations and say, wow, let's go and apply more security to me. And for example, if I come in with anonymous access or I'm in an unknown location, it will just say, hey, will you just use the MFA code on your iPhone? So I pull out my phone, give my username and password, and I hit go. Or it could say, look, can you please change your password, or can you contact help desk so that we can help you? In my own experience and with other massive companies, we have found that the challenge for MFA, which is a pain in the ass, the challenge for MFA is 1 in 100 logins. So 99 times I log into my machine, and I travel quite a bit, and I'm working with people who travel a lot. And so we're the people who are being challenged. 1 in 100 logins is like, whoa, can you just, confirm who you are, and you just get brought in. And I'm just logging in, to maybe resources in my own environment, but that login got brokered through Azure AD. That got protected by the security graph. We have spoken about this assume breach mentality. So I've logged into my Windows 10 device, and I'm working on my device, and an email comes through. And the email has a link. And when I double click on the link, Office 365 has worked out that, hey, you see that link, that doesn't actually go to the right location. It's a phishing email, and the link gets blocked, and I get a report on who has accessed that link. And what then happens is if other people in my organization got the same link, well, then Office 365 will go through the mailbox environment of your org, and it will look for that, and it will go through the rest of Office 365. And so once again, signals go back to the graph starts to protect us. I get in an email, and there's a Word doc, and I enable a macro, and the macro is a malware that's going to affect my box. Advanced Threat Protection, which is an Azure service running on my machine, is able to go and see, for example, the file that I'm running. Is it a normal file name, like, Word doc, but it's doing unusual behavior, it's creating backdoors, it's, doing nefarious things on my machine? Well, what we'll be able to see is how many times has this file hash been observed throughout the world on the graph. Again, the graph is sending the signals back. And you're going to be able to see very quickly, hey, look, do you see that this attack on this Word file? This is bad, and it's been seen in lots of places. And the very latest edition of Windows Creative, or I think what it's called, it's going to be able to give us the ability through Advanced Threat Protection, ATP, to go and quarantine that box and stop the attack spreading throughout the environment. Within Office ATP, if I had enabled the Advanced Threat Protection at the Office mailbox level, when the email comes in, the attachment gets stripped and it gets sent to what's called a detonation chamber. And the detonation chamber is the most amazing thing about cloud computing. Because why? Because the email comes in, it gets delivered, and I just get a little note say, hey, look, this email we're just scanning, you'll get it in a couple of minutes. But the email contains malware. The attachment contains malware. I don't get it. And then what starts to happen is Microsoft start to, send signals back to the graph. Within ATP, I can put in what industry segment I'm in. So if I'm in finance and I'm sitting in New York and a mail has been sent to me, but it has, it's malware, and it's already hit people in London, and they've opened it, and the attack has started, and it's been registered, those signals go to the graph. And what do you think happens when the mail comes to me? Well, the attachment isn't there. Why? Because the graph has seen it, and it has recognized the attack, and it's already beaten it before it gets a chance to attack me. In terms of this assume breach protocol, we really want to think of, let's assume breach. And so in one of the previous videos I described, they attack someone's machine, attackers attack someone's machine, and when they get to that machine, they're using pass-the-hash techniques, and they're using, the ability to laterally traverse across the network and look for more high-value accounts, and suddenly they get me, and I'm an administrator. I'm your Office 365 admin, or I'm a domain admin. But now what's happened is Microsoft have enabled just-in-time administration. And so if my account gets compromised and I was doing something in SharePoint or in Office or one of these services, the ticket that I had to access that was timestamped, and suddenly 10 minutes have gone boom, and I have lost access to that group, and the attacker, who also has my account, has also lost access to that group until I need to re-enable again. And at that point, tools like Advanced Threat Analytics on-prem, Advanced Threat Protection on your machine, all being fed through the cloud, they're starting to feed telemetry information back up to OMS, to the security and audit blade. This is firing off alerts. Your account gets identified as being compromised. We deal with the account, we change the username and password, we look for the attack, but we really impeded the attacker's progress because we just-in-time administration, and it's a click of a button as part of these cloud services, and it's protecting me and my user and your data on-prem through a cloud-based service. We're really focused on the user and their identity, but we all create and share Office documents. It's Microsoft used to have a policy of Windows and focus on Windows. Now for sure the policy is focus on Office and productivity, and so I have an Office file, and I want to write the document and I want to save it locally in my data center. It's not up in the cloud, but I have the Azure Information Protection Agent on my machine, and now I write a document, and for example, as you might have seen in my videos, I have a tag like patient record or blood type, and I save it, and in the background my Azure Information Protection Agent is going in and it's examining that file, and it's scanning for keywords, and it finds a keyword, or it finds a credit card or social security number or anything like that, and suddenly it applies different security to it. And when that file gets emailed to another user in another company, and it's on their local email system, and they try and open it, encryption and protection and rights management has followed that document, but it has followed it on-prem. A cloud service came in and protected it, but it was still on-prem. We weren't, I'm not solely talking about put everything in the cloud. I'm trying to show you lots of things that protect you on-prem. The device that I'm working on, for so many of us, we use Windows devices internally. And when we use the Windows device, Windows 10 has been written to be the most secure operating system that Microsoft have. We have this component called virtualization-based security, where I can enable a little hypervisor on my Windows 10 environment, and I can take my local security authority and I can move it from the Windows kernel, and I can plug it into a Hyper-V, a type of hypervisor on your machine. And what does that mean? It means if somebody gains access to the kernel, to the OS, they don't get access to this. So we have things like device guard and credential guard, some of the terms of what I've just been talking about here. We have secure boot. So when a machine boots up, and more Windows 10 security like early warning, malware protection is being enabled, the hypervisor is protecting the credentials, secure boot is stopping somebody getting in, the UEFI is really protecting the device till it boots into the operating system, the antivirus kicks in, the ATP kicks in. But what happens before that? Well, that was all measured, and all of that login gets sent to a cloud-based remote boot attestation server, and that tells us, hey, look, that device was healthy. That device was safe in the boot process, because we can see what's happening once it's booted. But rootkits, bootkits, all that stuff that sat in the layer below that, we can check that that's okay, and that information can be fed into Intune, Microsoft's cloud-based mobile device management strategy that can apply protection, help, control over your Windows 10 laptops. And what that's going to mean for you is that when I take my laptop and I go to a coffee shop and I try and access cloud-based resources or on-prem based resources that have been published through the cloud, what's going to happen at that point? Well, we can have conditional access in. So the Intune agent on my box is told, when I want to go and access corporate email, I must use the Outlook client. And so I've Outlook opened, and it says I must be able to vouch for the boot process to tell me that the machine has booted correctly. And the machine has just sent that up to its cloud-based device health attestation server. And so you can start to see that there's a large circle. And the large circle, which is talking about the user and their identity, the endpoint, the device that they're using, and the documents that we work on, they're all protected. My laptop isn't in Azure, but it's protected by Azure. I'm not in Azure, but I'm protected by Azure. My documents are being stored local or on file servers and have been sent to other people, but they're being protected by cloud-based services. And these cloud-based services really give you the advantage, like plugging into Microsoft's intelligent graph. This is kind of like the first time that we're on a level playing field with attackers.